Management, Homeland Security. The current County Judge is Mark Keough, and candidates in this race are Billy Graff, Judge Mark Keough, and Mayor Sara Countryman. Let's welcome and give a round of applause.
Okay, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start ladies first. Mayor Countryman, what is your understanding of the role of county judge, and why do you feel you are the most qualified?
First of all, thank you so much for having me this evening. Thank you to the Hispanic conservatives as well as the Montgomery Republican Club, and all of you that took your time this evening to come out. Appreciate it. It's a very important race. Currently, I am the second-term mayor of the city of Montgomery, so I've understood what it is like to be basically the CEO of a city, and that translates to becoming the head of a county. It's the same exact job that I've been doing for 4 years. Public policy, budgets, and working with departments, understanding their needs and making sure that their needs are met, but within budget. Where do we cut and how do we spend money wisely? I'm also the lead in being the ambassador, being the face of the city, and would be the face of the county. County judge has the same kind of role as a mayor does, and I look forward to being that for the county.
Dr. Graff, with the same question, what is your understanding of the role of county judge, and why do you feel you're the most qualified?
The role of the county judge is to provide leadership, to provide vision to the teams, to provide training opportunities to grow the staff. The role of the county judge is to encourage the community to provide emergency management opportunities in situations of disaster, which happens to be one of my specialties in life. I run a nonprofit that does nothing but disaster work. We go into counties, we partner with county judges, I partner with commissioners, I partner with federal, state, and local elected officials, and we build teams together to accommodate rebuilding and readjusting the lifestyles of people who've been devastated. We budget millions and millions of dollars through grant dollars. I'm fiduciarily responsible for millions of dollars every single year as we decide who gets what through a criteria that we have. It is very important that I am understood at what I do, because it is not what you think. When we go into a devastated area after a hurricane, and by the way, the #1 responsibility of the county judge is to make sure that all emergency management opportunities are made available to you in case of an emergency. I'm best qualified because I do it all the time. I'm best qualified because I already know how to negotiate and navigate and work with grants at a federal level, at a state level, at a county level, and at a city level. I know how to go in and talk to a mayor. I know how to talk to a state representative. I know how to identify the needs of a community, build a team, and take care of the problems that you have in the midst of disaster. I also know how to budget money, how to cut budgets. I also know how to build teams. I know how to encourage leaders. I'm Billy Graff. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Keough, the same question. What is your understanding of the role of county judge, and why are you the most qualified?
The understanding about what the county judge does is founded in the local government code of our Texas Constitution. And that is, #1, that we're the chief presiding officer over the Commissioner's Court. Second thing is that we are in charge of emergency management and homeland security. Both of those of which, by doing so, guarantees that we are fiscally responsible. In our size county, in 220,000 county population or below, he's really the chief budget officer. But in our size, my job is to administrate all of this and to oversee the operations of the county. What I've also found is that I'm also a spokesperson on behalf of the county. I found this during the COVID situation when we developed our position on how we were going to function in relationship to the state, to the federal government, to the city of Houston, to Harris County, to all the counties around us. All of that came out as we fought to fight for the freedoms and the civil liberties that we were losing and still continue to lose if we don't continue to fight. So I see myself and the county judge position as a spokesperson representing the face of the county in the defense of the county. And I have a proven track record of doing that.
We'll start with Judge Keough. Since March 2020, the world, including us Texans, have been dealing with the impact of COVID-19, the variants, the various policies that have been implemented by federal, state, and local governments, as well as the workforce. Judge Keough, under your emergency management powers as county judge, what has been your response to COVID-19, the variants, other governing powers, and how does your response compare to other county judges like Lena Hidalgo, Governor Greg Abbott, or even President Trump or Biden?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can I start now? Can we start that timer over? You know, when the whole COVID situation came up, none of us knew what was going to happen. The state of Texas, Dr. Hellerstedt had talked to legislators and they said that we were going to be possibly in the models losing 20% of the people of Texas. My own health department, to their defense, they did a model and they demonstrated to us in that model that we were going to have 100,000 cases when this came up by the end of April and 1,000 people dead. The federal government closed down, the state of Texas government closed down. We had hospital ships in New York, we had hospital ship over in San Francisco. Even the state of Florida closed down. Governor DeSantis closed down. Donald Trump closes down. So we have all this going on around us. We have 17 counties around us that have closed. And I came to the conclusion finally, after waiting all that time and observing what was going on, that I maybe wasn't going to be able to save the Texas economy, but I maybe could save lives. So I went with the science. And we went ahead and we decided to close down. And we closed down for 2 weeks. Why did we end it at 2 weeks? Because the numbers that had been presented to me as I watched hospitalizations against those people who actually were admitted and people who actually went home. 95% of the people went home. And I said, what is it with this? Why are these people all going out? Because they were pretty much good, 99.5% recovery rate, and we have stood by that the entire time. So during this whole period, we stood there, we fought for it, and I ended up fighting the federal and state officials, defending this county, keeping us open, keeping us from having to wear masks. I have since fought the vaccine mandates and the vaccine issues, although we've offered it, and it's always been about choice and giving it to the people how they were going to respond. And that's how we kept our civil liberties. That's what I intend to continue to do, because guess what? These variants are going to be weaponized and it's not over. And they will continue to be perpetrated upon us so that we will be required. They want us to stay closed.
Okay, Mayor Countryman, similar question. As mayor, what has been your response to COVID-19 for the city of Montgomery? And how does your response compare to county judges or other governing authorities? What would you have done differently, if any?
Great question. The city of Montgomery, I never asked for the city of Montgomery to shut down. I would never have asked the county of Montgomery to shut down should I have been county judge at the time. We are all adults. If the businesses want to stay open, everybody's essential. Stay open. If you want to go by the 6-foot rule, go by the 6-foot rule or 10-foot rule. You want to wear a mask? Your health is your business. It's between you and your doctor. Same thing, if you want to get a vaccination, that's between you and your doctor. That's your business. But I would not have shut down the county. And our last debate, you made a comment that your own church was burglarized. So a couple hours later, you shut down the county. If my home had been burglarized, I wouldn't have shut down the county for a personal reason. Now, COVID-19, leadership truly is. COVID-19's been interesting, I think we can all agree. But yes, given the information you're given, but also the information you're not given is also important. Because you've got to look at this from all different angles in order to know how to lead and where to go. and I would have handled it much differently. Everybody is essential. In Montgomery, I was going to all of our restaurants, making sure that the waitresses and waiters, because those were what was open, that they could feed their families. And I was feeding our law enforcement, and I was feeding our first responders, as well as my family and others that might have needed it. This county is, there's 622,000 people in this county over that. And this affected so many of our residents. When we were given rental assistance from the state, which was sent back because we couldn't do our job and help out our constituents that are actual renters. There's been so many evictions due to the laziness and lackluster from the seat currently. So my response to you would be this would have handled totally different, and we would have stayed open, and everybody is essential.
Dr. Graff, similar question to you, sir. What has been your response to COVID-19, your business, church, personal life? How does your response compare to the county judges or other governing authorities? What would you have done differently, if anything, and why?
Thank you for the question. I look at this from a different perspective. I understand the science. I understand how science can be looked at from different directions. But I wanted to look at this from more of a constitutional perspective. As I look at my Constitution, nowhere in my Constitution do I see where actually the state, the governor, a county commissioner, a county judge, nowhere do I see where there are articles within the Constitution that say we can take away the very privileges of life, liberty, and happiness by saying you can't go to work, you can't go to church. Nowhere do I see that in our Constitution. So for me personally, my approach would be I stood in the midst of all of this as a business owner. I had employees that would have lost their job because I do construction. They would have not had a job. I was responsible for those children that they have. So I made a decision to buck the system, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm an adult. And number two, I believe in the Constitution that I live in a country where I'm free. My company did not shut down in the midst of being told to shut down. My company did not lay off any employees because I was told to shut down. And I was working in Harris County where Hidalgo lives, ladies and gentlemen. So how would I have handled it? I would have placed before each one of you the opportunity, the science, the knowledge, and let you make your best choice for yourself. Because we are not the dictators of the county. And if I remember correctly, I didn't really have an option because I was told that I better do what I was told or there would be legal action taken. I chose on the eyes of the Constitution.
Don't I get to make comments and
The rule, normally, yes, we are keeping track of rebuttal, but the question called for a difference of opinion. So because the question called for it this time, we're going to move on to the next question. But if the question does not call for it, and we're looking for like drive-by comments. The question was, what would you have done differently? And so because of that, I'm not going to permit a rebuttal because the question asked for the differences, and I didn't really hear any drive-bys. Okay, Dr. Graff, this one's for you, starting. It's for everybody. There are 70 children's advocacy centers in Texas to serve our 254 counties. A children's advocacy center is a one-stop location where children who have been physically and sexually abused go to receive non-invasive treatment, therapy, while housing CPS and other law enforcement who investigate the sex offenders. Montgomery County's Children's Advocacy Center is called Children's Safe Harbor. When Children's Safe Harbor opened some 20 years ago, it saw about 20 abused children per month. Now it sees upwards of 250 to 300 physically and sexually abused children each month. outgrowing its ability to serve our community needs? How do you see the role of government using tax dollars to fund NGOs or charities like Children's Safe Harbor, and what is your experience working with these organizations?
Thank you for the question. As everyone knows, I am a nonprofit guy, so it's always fun to be the first one to answer nonprofit questions. I have made this statement over the last year, 2 years. I'm not an advocate in philosophy. I'm really not an advocate of counties or any governments directly funding charities and things of that nature. But I have always had one caveat, and I've made this many times known to many people. There are opportunities within our statutory rulings within counties. We can partner with NGOs and we can partner with nonprofits, but the only time I think that it's really a good thing, in this case I think it's a good thing, and when we can partner with a nonprofit and it saves you, the taxpayer, money. It saves the county from having to set up another department, increase taxes possibly, reallocate funding. It is an opportunity for us to actually do a good thing with a good group of people who have a passion for a particular situation. That does not mean I think the county should be writing checks to nonprofits all the time. This is a special case, and in this particular case, I find it okay if it's properly managed. We must have accountability. We must know where every dollar is going. We must be able to report back to the taxpayers where those dollars are going. And so in this case, yes, it's a wonderful opportunity for the county to save money by not having to create more departments and still do a good thing with people who are already educated and passionate about a particular thing. I'm just as passionate about my nonprofit work, but I would never take money from the county, state, or federal government because I don't think it's correct.
Okay, Judge Keough, same question. How do you see the role of government using taxpayer dollars to fund NGOs or charities like Children's Safe Harbor, and what is your experience working with these organizations?
Well, the Texas Constitution basically says we shouldn't be doing that. Should be taken from public offers and given to special entities. What we have found, though, in the process of how all this works, typically this has been the responsibility of faith-based organizations, churches, and those sorts of things. Unfortunately, in our society, in our culture, the churches are not there. I'm the pastor of the Woodlands Bible Church. We give to a number of ministries and a number of ways that we can help people, but it is not enough to cover the broad perspective of what needs to be done. So we enter into local agreements with certain entities like Children's Safe Harbor because of the need, because of what has not taken place in the faith-based organization. So from that perspective, where the churches and the houses of faith and the rest, local organizations don't do it, what are we going to do? Just let the kids suffer? We're going to let them go uncounseled? We're going to let them be in abusive situations with their families? No, we can't do that. We as a people are better than that. That is not what God would want us to do. We must take care of our kids. We must take care of our families. We must work on the mental health. And if that means making agreements with some of these organizations, it will save millions and millions of dollars by helping to get them where they can get grants funded and utilize those things in order to accomplish the very things that we're trying to do, and that's protect the people of this county.
Mayor, you can guess what I'm going to ask you. How do you see the role of government using taxpayer dollars to fund NGOs, charities like Children's Safe Harbor, and what is your experience working with these organizations?
So I do believe, the same as both of these gentlemen, what they stated, is taxpayer dollars. The county is not a nonprofit. The county, there are statutory specific reasons why we should use our taxpayer dollars for a nonprofit because the federal government, when we give, say, $100,000, the federal government will match funds and other entities will match funds that allows their baseline to be a lot, their money baseline to grow and then to serve more. And I serve on 2 nonprofit boards today. I'm proud of my nonprofit. I love charities. We've got a lot of charities in this county because we've got a lot of people and a lot of that care and that want to invest. And that's our personal right to invest in charities. However, if it is statutorily useful for specific reasons and there's greater financial gain for the nonprofit by other entities, I'm all for it. But they also need to be, there needs to be oversight to ensure that the dollars are going to those that we are supporting. I support Safe Harbor. I support the food bank, the Meals on Wheels. Those are all necessary to our 622,000 plus residents here that need help and support. And it would, if we have a great need, it would hurt our county if we didn't get those matching funds. It would be hard to service all of them. So these charities that allow for federal funding to be matched to greater than, I'm all for. And I agree that it is not up to, the churches aren't going to do it. The county should step in to a degree.
No.
Next question, we're going to talk about budgets and taxes, something near and dear to my heart. Don't forget to pay your taxes. Deadline is January 31st. Mayor Countryman, we're going to start with you. The budget is primarily dependent upon the tax rate, which is set by the Commissioner's Court. And we know that the Commissioner's Court has no authority over the property values. As you know, the no new revenue tax rate is a benchmark rate. It's a rate that enables the public to evaluate the relationship between taxes for the prior year based on a tax rate that would produce the same amount of revenue if applied to the same properties taxed in both years. If values go up from year to year, which they do here in Montgomery County, the tax rate should go down. Otherwise, it is a tax increase. What have you done to lower the tax rate since you have been mayor for the city of Montgomery? And secondly, what is the budget for Montgomery County and how do you go about prioritizing that budget?
Great question. The no new tax revenue that was adopted, I truly believe that that was a political ploy because it was an election year. We should be funding that and it should go up. In a $275,000 house, that's about $5 a month. We have a greater need here. Yes, we've got a lot of people moving in. We also have a lot of services that we've got to provide for. And even your own budget director and auditor said that this is a problem if we don't adopt a higher tax rate. Now, there were 6 options that were presented, and you went with option 1, which is no new tax rate, but it takes over $7 million out of the fund balance. That's frightening. Now, also, where are we going to find that money? You've already voted on it. You voted on it, and then you'll be voting on it for next year because budgeting happens in the summer, and you'll still be a county judge. But I can't help but think that this was a political ploy so that you could have that tagline, which you have used, quite frankly, whenever your own experts tell you this is not a good idea, and that everyone in this room needs to understand that there will be a tax increase come FY24, without a doubt. And the worst option is the one that you chose. So I would like to know what your plan is for that as well. But in the city of Montgomery, our budget has more than doubled since I've become mayor in my first term. The county budget is about $350 million. The city budget went from 2.8 to over 5 million this year. We've experienced rapid growth, but we work from zero base up. So if there's a way to squirrel away money, we finally had a savings account, first time in the history of the city, under my leadership. We were able to do that, so we can not put the burden on the taxpayer. We can have an account that we could save money and not spend it frivolously and continuously. I like to do that because the taxpayers are burdened enough.
Okay, Okay, Judge Keough, or do you want to rebut that? Okay.
Sure, 30 seconds.
Well, first of all, what you're telling us in 2 years, if you get in place as the judge, that you're going to raise the taxes. How do y'all feel about that? The second thing is that the issue of appraisals against, it's this easy. As the appraisals go up, I promised in my contract with Montgomery County that I would lower, that our commissioner's court would lower the rate. We've done it 3 years in a row. Barb Sadler said it's the first time in the history ever of the county that we were able to do that. And as we did that, you realize we didn't sacrifice any services at all.
Thank you. Dr. Graff. The same question. Yours is a little different because although you have not been in a position to participate in the tax rate and budget adoption process, what are your ideas and how would you prioritize the county's budget and tax rate?
Obviously a 350 million plus budget is a huge number. And I think the first thing we need to make sure that we do is we identify, number one, the statutory requirements that this county must meet. And that's where we begin. I also believe that a zero-based budgeting process is the most economic and most efficient way of budgeting money to verify that we are getting the best bang for the buck. I think it's very important that once we identify those particular areas that we must hit, that then we must identify how we can maximize the dollars within every single department so that we can meet every need that you, the citizens of this county need. That's what we want to do first. I would like to see us begin to eliminate wasteful things. If they're not statutory and if they're not meeting a specific need that you, the voter, have asked for and voted for and approved, I think we need to begin to cull some of those things out. We are about to move into a huge infrastructure planning situation. Millions and hundreds of millions of dollars are about to have to be allocated to build new roads and things of that nature. I think we need to rethink our processes on how we identify need, how we prioritize need, how we budget needs. And I think it's very important that we also understand that yes, though we have what they call an effective tax rate or a no new tax rate, yes, they can lower the tax rate a little bit, but if not everyone in this room actually got a tax break, true or false? True. There's a lot of people in this room that actually didn't get a tax rate break. And I understand that. And so I want us to always remember that, yes, it is a mathematical process. Appraisal of your property times this number, and it tells you how much money we're going to work with. But ladies and gentlemen, I think there's more to it than just that. Because when we talk, we use the number, we lowered our bill.
Thank you. I felt like I was at church. Judge Keough, what have you done to lower the tax rate since you have been judge? And secondly, what is the budget for the county and how do you go about prioritizing that budget?
What we have done is we set out at the very beginning, when I first got into office, was that we were going to work to the effective tax rate or the no new revenue rate. This whole process of dropping the rate as the appraisals go up. We also said that as new construction and new move-ins took place, that then would come in at that level and is what would feed the total amount of dollars that we could bring into the county in order to meet our needs. With a $350, $360 million budget, you can imagine there's a lot of money that moves around in this whole process. But I want to tell you the result of that, according to Moody and Investor Service, you realize that in lowering the tax rate and giving you the new revenue rate, we still, in cash liquidity, still over a 5-year dollar change in cash balance, we are up 27.8%. How do you explain that if our new revenue rate is so low that we're going to have to get new taxes in 2 years? We're not going to have to raise taxes in 2 years, and we will not sacrifice either our sheriff's office, we will not sacrifice our DA's office, any of our constables, any of our first responders. We haven't done that yet. That's not going to happen. And what we are enjoying here in Montgomery County is such a growth rate. with so much population, with so many businesses moving here, as they say, because of stable government, you watch what happens. And your continual rate will continue to drop as we move forward.
Okay, Judge Keough, I think you're up first for this one. Cool. What is your plan as county judge, or what has been your plan? What have you done to improve voter integrity in Montgomery County? What is your plan to improve voter integrity? What have you done? Actually, let's do that. What is your plan to combat, to help the voters feel like their vote means something?
Well, the first thing is that as in response to the desire of the community, we look at our voting machines and we move to a paper processing ballot. It's this easy. You go to vote, and then you're done voting, it prints out a paper, you look at it, you see if you like it, you put it in the tabulator, it tabulates it, and it drops. The problem with voter fraud in many cases across the country, and we don't have much of a problem, but human nature being what it is, who knows where it's really at here in Montgomery County. But I will tell you this, when we have processes in place that allow the visibility of the voter box or the data that goes to the precinct chair or the person in charge, and they take it to the Republican Party headquarters, when they just drop it off and nobody's witnessing anything, that's a flaw in the system. Across the country, it is the individual. It's not that the precinct chairs are not doing a good job. They just have been told you just drop it off and leave it. Well, that's the potential for fraud. So for my money, what we need to be doing is we need to make sure that people are watching this process all the way until it is transmitted to the state of Texas. We've done that. I believe that's going to take place. I'm very excited about our new machines. We won't be able to use them in this primary, but we will be able to use them in the fall as they're coming in.
Okay, Dr. Graff, I think you're next on this one.
All right.
Yes. I have them written down. We made sure everyone is it's in the right order. I have a K and then a G and then a C, so that's how I did that.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. What is your plan, sir, to improve voter integrity in Montgomery County?
All right. Well, I know this doesn't happen very often in debates and forums, but thank you, Judge, for making sure we got some new machines.
And you're welcome.
Thank you.
So why are we doing this, Billy?
Because we don't agree on everything, brother. In reference to voter integrity, the best way, ladies and gentlemen, the absolute best way to stop every illegal vote in our county is for every single one of you to show up at the polls, stand and watch people vote, watch people count, be at the counting locations. It's really not just the machines. The machines that we're buying, hey, I think they're great. It's not a perfect fix, but I like the paper ballot. It's better than what we have. We can never guarantee any total secured system, unfortunately, because people are still people, and we live in a fallen and broken world. People will still cheat if they think they can get away with it, so I'll never say we have a 100% perfect system. But the fix is right here. You are the fix. Volunteer to help monitor the voting polls every single day, every single time they move, like we were talking about a second ago. We carry the numbers and the hard drives back to different locations. We need people there to visibly watch every step of the way. And so how are we going to fix problems in Montgomery County? We're not, but you will. And I want to be a leader to help you see how you can be a part of the fix. Thank you.
So, Mayor, same question. What have you done as mayor to improve voter integrity, and what is your plan as county judge?
I too agree that I appreciate the voting machine. Thank you very much. I don't know if we can afford it, but I appreciate it. I think voter integrity is important. And those that vote for me, I know that they don't want their vote to count for either one of these, and vice versa. So 100%. And how do you do that? It's hands on deck. It's more eyes and more hands involved in the process. And if you're truly concerned, volunteer and get involved. But voter integrity, I've been doing some research on prior elections, and I have not found one election, especially on the federal level, that believe that the results are actually the results. And it goes back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So voter integrity has always been an issue. I don't know that we'll ever get 100% accountability for it, but I know that you took the first step in getting the new machines, and it is up to us as the voters and taxpayers of this county to get involved and ensure that there is pure honesty and integrity in our vote.
Thank you. And for the last item on for this race, we would like to give each one of you 2 minutes in closing. You can choose to talk about yourself. You can talk about an item that has already been addressed, one of the questions. It's your 2 minutes to do as you please. And we will start with Dr. Graff.
I just love to be first. Thank you. Well, guys, it's really been an honor to stand here with you and sit here with you and spend some time with you and discuss the greatness of our county. As has been said, we are in a very unique county. We are a wealthy county. We have a wealth of greenbacks. We have a wealth of experience. We have a wealth of passion. And we have just a wealth of people who want to do something good for others. The reason I'm running for this position is very simple. I would like to present some opportunities to do things a little different. As we're moving into a new future, I think there are some new ways that we can look at how we do road building. I think there's some new ways that we can partner with developers. I think there's some better ways that we can hold developers more accountable to spending more of their money and less of our money in these developments that they're putting in. I'm concerned about our water. I'm concerned about all the many infrastructure things that are coming up. And like I said earlier, because I go into disaster areas after hurricanes and rebuild infrastructure, I do have a little bit of a background in that. And I would like to give to you my services because I want to serve you, and I want to work with you, and I want to partner with you, and I want to give you an opportunity as a community to give me your ideas. Wouldn't it be great if you could sit down with a group of people, like-minded people, and we could sit in a room and we could talk about ideas and different ways to make this county better. Don't just depend on the commissioners. I got the yellow dye. I'm not done. Great. Don't wait for the court to come up with the ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your community. We serve you. We're not dictators. I want to partner with you. I want to sit people in a room and let's talk about ideas. What's better to do this or to do that? We don't do that. We have too many things that are just kind of done and we don't talk about them. I'm Billy Graff. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Graff. And we want to take just a minute to thank MCPLive.tv for recording here tonight. Thank you. Okay, next, Mayor Countryman. You have 2 minutes.
I'm going to tie in our last debate with something that will be on the agenda tomorrow. And I've made some notes. So at our last meeting, Judge Keough, you were adamant in your disdain for the fact that neither myself nor Billy Graff contacted you before deciding to run for county judge. However, you've not been a very good communicator yourself regarding numerous issues which have plagued Montgomery County. Most recently, despite your chief of staff acting as the executive director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management and your office being responsible for handling and reviewing annual reports from the local ESDs, a $4.7 million radio replacement issue has only come up just now at election time as last-minute expenditure employed to pander for votes. Montgomery County has faced this exact issue not too long ago when we switched from VHS to digital system in order to ensure our first responders could communicate with each other with other counties in the emergency situation. The men who were sitting on the very court from February 2008 to December 2009 are all alive and active residents still today in Montgomery County, including former County Judge Alan Sadler, former County Judge Craig Doyle, Precinct 2 Commissioner former Precinct 2 Commissioner and former Precinct Commissioner Mike Metter, and Precinct 30 Commissioner Ed Chance. These men negotiated the update of the new radio system because it was a complete overhaul of our system and court funded the entire upgrade. However, according to former Judge Craig Doyle and former Commissioner Chance, this came with a caveat. In 2009, the ESD would fund the replacement and maintenance of these radios going forward. Unlike the Sheriff and Constable's Office, the ESDs are taxing entities separate from Montgomery County. How come the County Judge's Office was not able to recognize this need during any of the previous budget hearings or annual reviews of the ESD financial statements? Have you or anyone in your office picked up the phone to call those men that served the county back then, and ask them how they would handle this? Have you ever looked through your own archives to find details of the initial agreements found in this issue facing today?
Okay. Judge Keough, before your 2 minutes start, we would obviously give you 30 seconds there to address any of the comments.
You know, it's just so easy to sit here and to criticize on one or two things, and, you know, we don't always get it right. Right? We don't always. We get it right. But the fact of the matter is, I've sat here for the last 20, 25 minutes, and I've not heard anything of any real substance of what anybody here is going to do. So this is what I have done. Number one, I have a proven track record of protecting this county, of keeping Montgomery County number one. I did it against the federal government, I did it against the state government, I did it against Harris County.
2 minutes. So that was Thursday.
I did it with, thank you. I did it with Harris County, and I continue to do this, especially now in the monocolonial issues, as we have dealt with that whole deal of them trying to take away our infusion centers from the federal government, 7 other states. I've dealt with this with Governor DeSantis. We've dealt with this with Governor Abbott. He's been working very hard at it, and also our state legislature. I've also, and I'm the one up here who has real promises made and promises kept. Realize that in our finances alone, I keep hearing how, and I've been hearing how we're going to go broke. Do you realize that in our reserve right now, unencumbered and encumbered, pure cash today, we're sitting in unencumbered and encumbered reserve, $380,848,000. In our cash reserve, $362 million. Would somebody please explain to me, we have $700 million in reserve and how we're going broke? That's almost 2 years of budget. All that tells me is that I'm not sure, and I'm not trying to beat up on my 2 opponents here, but man, you guys are running against me. I'm not running against you. So what I'm saying is why are we creating these platitudes and following rogue bloggers who create these narratives that are absolutely untrue? It confuses the voter, it confuses the people who here are in our audience today, and you don't know what to believe. I've been there, done that. The third, I want to hear something else that I've been able to do that these guys haven't done. I served 2 sessions in the Texas House of Representatives. I served and I represented this county, and I have standing to go and sit with them. I represented this county in the redistricting and kept Magnolia from being divided in half. I went to the state, and we initiated it here in our commissioner's court, and the guys agreed to it unanimously, and I went and we created an ethics commission that I went and stumped for at the state level, and is going to be implemented within the next month. I'm Mark Keough, I'm your current county judge. We're on a roll, please. I need your support. Thank you so much.
Give him a round of applause.